Offsiders, welcome to another episode of Offside Talk. I am your host, Emin, as always. I'm here with my co-host, Fatih.
Hello.
We've got two special guests here with us today. We've got Ahmad Fouda, who is an Aston Villa fan.
How's it going?
And we've got Ali with us, who is a fellow Liverpool supporter.
What's happening?
We're just going to, before we start the segment, I just want to say, guys, we really appreciate all the support we can get. So if you guys can follow us on Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube, and like us on Facebook, it really helps us out a lot. The link will be provided, of course, in the description as below. And it does pop up right over...
Wherever you want it to pop up, man.
I want it to pop up right here.
Done.
On the screen. Let's start off with a recap of what happened during the week. There was some big games this week, some upsets. We're going to start with a massive upset in the way of Liverpool versus Man City. Of course, Man City winning 4-0. And after being awarded the championship, what happened, Ali?
I think some of the players were a bit hungover from the partying the weekend before. To be honest, I'm not really fussed about the result. A lot of players like Robertson, they played their worst game I've ever seen in a Liverpool jersey. So it's like one we just chalk off to like hangover still from the partying.
But I don't get why I know our fellow podcaster, Omar, had a bit of a comment about how the Liverpool played and stuff like that. But you got to keep in mind that these guys, what was it, 2-3 days that they partied, they didn't care. I know it's the worst game to play after winning, the Premiership against Man City and stuff like that. But it is what it is. Even Klopp was annoyed with the questions that the media was asking them about how they were, the attitude and stuff like. Man, what do you expect? Like, it's not like the team was, this was a Premiership winning game and then they flopped the sort of thing. They won it and, bad performance, but they are the champions at the end of the day.
I think we needed like a game in between winning the title and playing Man City just to get our like match fitness back from what we how we celebrated it. Like we needed like a Norwich or a Brighton to play against so we can prepare for the Man City game.
And no offense to Norwich or Brighton about that. But yeah, no, I 100% agree with that.
I have to agree with Ali. I mean, it is the worst game to play your worst game of the season for. But I'm gonna be on Omar's side, and this doesn't happen very, very often.
What?
But I know. I'm gonna say, look, we've been talking about this with Ohms on and off the air for a while now, and I believe that Liverpool, after the restart, hasn't been the Liverpool before. So, in fact, even before the break, I felt like Liverpool wasn't playing its best football. And had there been a week in between, to be honest, I'm going to be completely an idiot here and say that Man City would have won the game anyway. Because I feel like we're not playing our best football. Man City's got a statement to make. They came out right from the start to make that statement and very comfortable win. I'm going to say it's a very embarrassing loss, even though I'm over the moon that we became champions.
It's an embarrassing loss, but it's not like a worrying loss. It's not like, oh, we should be worried about next season because of this one performance. Yeah,
I have worries in the terms of a centre-back. I've been saying this for a while. I think we need another centre-back. Gomez, I know he's young, but I don't think he's a centre-back that we can rely on for a whole season in the EPL. I think Omar said this as well off air, is that not only a centre-back, but maybe someone in the middle, because we've got an ageing midfield right now, so maybe bringing in someone in. I think Man City really highlighted some flaws that we had in the team, even though, we're hungover, we're tired from the partying and stuff like that. So that's just my personal opinion, though.
Well, the question is, boys, if this was the Premiership winning game for Liverpool, do you reckon they would have won this?
Of course.
Easy. In my opinion, I think they would have won it because the hunger would have been there. Another, what's the word you want to add to this? A milestone will be there because you're beating the team that were the champions and they're coming second. And the aim of just what this game meant to them, I think they would have got it. But look, again, that's just my opinion that they were hungover. That's just a hungover game for them pretty much. But look, at the end, City did win. They won comfortably. It's just, what did you expect more from a Pep Guardiola squad? Like, do you know what I mean? This was the one thing that they could have over them, and it was the perfect moment to do it, and they got it, unfortunately.
Yeah, look, we missed out on the record of going invincible all season, but there's still records up for grabs. And as a Liverpool supporter, I want to grab all the ones we can. Of course, the one being biggest lead in a championship, dropping off 3 points. Yeah, we're still got the record, but it would have been a lot more comfortable had we picked up a point here or even taken the 3. So I'm hungry for more accomplishments.
Yeah, I want the points tally record. Man City's Centurions. So we're on 86 points with like 6 games to go. So we need 14 points out of the last 6 to beat their record.
Mm-hmm.
What are they, 100?
Yeah, they were 100 on the dot.
All right, well, yeah, that was a Liverpool game. I'm pretty sure they'll bounce back off, back to winning ways. I forgot who you guys have this weekend.
We got this mob over here.
You got the Aston Villa mob.
And that was the worst thing that could have happened to us. Like
Yeah.
Liverpool are not going to do a bad performance 2 games in a row. No way Klopp's going to let them do that again.
Well, we'll move on to your game, actually. You guys had a 1-0 loss, unfortunately, against Wolves. It's just the fact that is this it for you guys? I don't know how you want to see it from that angle.
In my opinion, we're going to have to win 4 games in a row. Everton, Crystal Palace, Arsenal, West Ham. Because we're not going to get nothing out of Liverpool. And Man United are the most informed team. And even then, it might not be enough because, surprisingly, I thought West Ham were going to be gone. But that performance they put against you guys,
Fortunately,
was showing that they have some fight in them. They're really going to go for it. And Watford, you don't know if they're going to pick up points. They've got an easier run. They've got Norwich and some other teams. I think they've also playing Brighton, I
I
believe.
think they're playing us as well.
Yeah, so they might pick up points there or there. So even those 4 games might not be enough if we win them. But I can't even see where the next win's coming from our performances.
So are you leaning towards relegation at the moment, or are you hammering on that little bit of hope that you guys still have?
The problem is with football, it always gives you that little bit of hope. Like, I don't know why. I don't know where this hope's coming from. But I just think that there's something that could happen. But if you ask me realistically, I think we're probably one of the teams that are going to go down now.
Desperation can do a lot of things. I mean, you saw what it can do, what it did for West Ham over the weekend. So desperation could bring results for you guys.
But that's the problem, Eamon. When you look at our performances, there's no desperation, there's no urgency, there's nothing. Like, we're just going through the motions. We're too soft. We're an easy touch. Even against Wolves. Wolves, first half, they had no shots on target. But it's like they wanted that. They just took their time. They took their chance. And that's it. And we're just struggling to find a chance.
I think you can talk about desperation and whatnot, but I think what it comes down to is Aston Villa's lacking quality. Like, other than Jack Grealish, no one in that squad is capable of holding a ball, like beating a player. And I watched the Wolves game against the Villa, and some of the players, like, they couldn't take 2 dribbles without losing control of the ball.
And that's the thing. Like Ali said, a lot of people spoke, even you guys off air, spoke about, the money that we've spent. And I agree, we did spend a lot of money, but we needed to. But players like Trezeguet, like, I had big hopes for him.
So did I. I had him as one of my one to watch at the start of the
Yeah,
season.
absolutely. And like, the thing about Trezeguet, he was playing for Kasem Basha. Is that? I think that's how you pronounce it. But they were a bottom 6 team. But the thing is about Trezeguet, he was willing to take players on. He was willing to shoot. None of our players, El Ghazi, Trezeguet, no one's willing. I don't know if it's a lack of confidence or they're just playing within themselves. But no one has the quality. And like, I've got Trezeguet in the back of my jersey. I want to defend him as much as I can. But he doesn't have the quality. He's not living up to what the potential that we thought he would have.
Is there a lack of meshing? I mean, we talked about Wolves early on in the season. They bought some fantastic players, and towards the first third of the season, we're like, they need time. But obviously, Villa's had enough time to mesh.
Absolutely.
So it's not a problem of not meshing, in your opinion.
I think it's 2 things, to be honest with you. One, lack of quality. So I rather would have got, instead of getting El Ghazi and Trezeguet, spend both those transfer budgets on another player that's better quality. But also, I think we're naive. We're very soft. We're not, we're easy to beat. Against Liverpool at home, we're winning in the 88th minute and then we lose 2-1. We're beating Arsenal away. They've got a man sent off and we throw it away. We're just, I think it's lack of quality and we're too naive. We just don't know. We don't have that Premier League still.
So, yeah, I think that I read this week, I think Chelsea, Aston Villa and West Ham are the 3 teams that have given up the most points from winning
Chelsea
from winning positions.
Yeah.
I know. I think Chelsea I think we're third last in that, or third in that topic, I should say now. And to be honest, I don't blame them. And one result that didn't go in your favour was the Chelsea West Ham game. Unfortunately,
Absolutely.
our boys looked. I know they had a mid-game. What was it, the FA Cup against Leicester?
Yep.
The 1-0 victory. It didn't help them, obviously, from a fatigue point of view. But look, again, a team like West Ham, we should be beating, regardless of what West Ham's in, regardless of. Look, I understand West Ham's fighting relegation, but we're trying to get top 4 here. So, 3 points loss is a massive loss, especially considering the last 2 games for us at the end of the season is Liverpool and Wolves. So that doesn't necessarily help us either. Look, but this all our game just fell down to what I've been saying all year. We need a defender. We need someone that's going to run that defense like John Terry. Or even when John Terry left, we still had Gary Cahill, who sort of understood the method of running a back 4. Now, Azpilicueta, he's gone right back, then centre back, then right back, and then he tries to be like Trent Alexander-Arnold, but he can't run back because he doesn't have the same speed. And that type of... I can see what Frank's trying to get, I reckon, what Liverpool have. That overlapping run and stuff like that, but we don't have the players for that. And we can't find 2 CBs to say, okay, I'm sticking with you guys. It's gone Christensen, Rudiger. Then Rudiger gets injured. Then we got Zuma. Then Zuma goes out. Then back Rudiger, and then Zuma.
And tomorrow, what about what's tomorrow doing these days?
I think he's injured at the moment. He was actually pretty good for us during most of the games. We're also missing Reece James. I think with them two in the lineup and us buying a proper centre back, I think is going to be a lot better. Just someone that needs to run the show. There's rumours that we're going to go for David Alaba, but I don't think he's got the captainship to ride that defence. Yeah, that leadership sort of thing. So look, again,
you guys need a left back to replace Marcus Alonso because
he's too slow.
And he's just the decision making isn't his strong suit in defence.
He's too slow, way too slow. Like. Again, it's the same scenario that we have with Azpilicueta on the left-hand side as well. I know they're trying to go for, what is his name? Chilwell from Everton. I don't think he's worth 80 million. But a young player, 21, 22 years old or something like that, he might be a good replacement, but I think there's better out there that will probably be better suited for that role, maybe better suited in Frank's vision. But I think we got, what's his name? We got Werner. We got Ziyech. Rumour is Havertz as well, but I don't think we need him. But I think we should get at least 2 more defenders before this whole transfer market and season comes through.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. How do you feel about spending money on Ziyech and Timo Werner when clearly the issue is defence?
Oh, look, again, if from the beginning of this season, I said, Frank, even when we had the transfer ban, I said we need defenders. The moment January opens, we should be buying a defender. We can clearly see the lack of transfers happening in January is slowly starting to come now with Werner and all that.
Yep.
If it was me, I would have straight away gone for a defender in the market, at least 1 or 2, at least, because you can clearly see that from a goal perspective, we can put something together, but from a defensive perspective, we're lost. And unfortunately, our keeper as well isn't having the best of seasons as well, with a lot of mistakes here and there for the price tag that we paid for him. But yeah, defender has to be a must. If we don't get one whenever the next transfer window is, I'm not too sure. I think we're going to be in a lot of trouble come next season, especially if it's not like a John Terry-esque player. We're definitely in trouble. So, but yeah, look, our game was horrible from that aspect.
But hats off to Willian, who pretty much said, "I'm not done yet, guys. Like, someone buy me." That was an amazing free kick.
Yeah.
Coming off that post, just going back in. Wow, like it was
It's unstoppable. You can't stop that.
Oh, look, the keeper, I think it was a great shot. He was in good position too. It was. I think even the commentator in the game was saying he was in the right position. Can't believe he didn't get to that, but fantastic shot.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
No, 100% agree. Thank you, William, for staying with us for a month or whatever it is now. Please don't go to Arsenal. Speaking of Arsenal, 4-0 against Norwich. I wouldn't say this is Arsenal's comeback party or anything like that, considering Norwich are bottom of the ladder and almost destined to be relegated. If not, they're the 99.9% chance of getting relegated at the moment. Look, I think this is just standard for Arsenal, where If they play one good game and then everyone's like, okay, let's look at the positives in this, and then they'll lose 2-1 to say another like Brighton or something like that. So, yeah, I know Arteta is looking forward to this season finishing, but yeah, I just think that this isn't necessarily where everyone just goes, oh, Arsenal's back.
Well, that's the thing. I wouldn't even take too much positives out of the game, not just because it's just Norwich, that they've gifted them 2 goals. If you saw the game,
Yeah.
it's just like, so I think Arsenal, they have a lot of problems behind the scenes, especially with like, you know, signing David Luiz for another year is just like, I don't know what they're thinking there, and I think they're going to have a lot of issues if they can't keep a hold of Aubameyang. Yeah, they're going to have issues next year.
Yeah, like the only positive you can take from the game is Bellerin gets to finally plant some trees.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
winning.
forgot about that.
They need like a couple of transfer windows, and Arteta needs some time to work with this team before they can even like think about fighting for like honours again. Like even in top four is like a way off for them.
I think the problem with Arsenal is now, if Arteta doesn't get results, he's going to get sacked. And then the whole thing starts all over again until you find that manager. And the problem is finding that manager nowadays, because a team like Arsenal or United or Chelsea or whoever that was getting new managers at the time, there's only a handful of managers that you can go, okay, he will suit us. Do you know what I mean? I think if you look at the market itself, what do you have? You got Pochettino, Allegri. Do you know what I mean? That's considered,
Top class.
man, we're getting a manager that's going to change the whole system for us. So the question for Arsenal will be, okay, yeah, we get some new transfers in and they don't work. What do we do? Do we just sack Arteta and then start the whole cycle again? So
I think of Arsenal, they're at that stage where they have to give Arteta some time.
Yeah.
Like they have to give him like a 1 full season, even if you finish like 5th or 6th. Like we'll stick with you, give you another transfer market, and try to kind of like what Liverpool done with Klopp in the early days, and what United are doing now with Solskjaer. Like he came in, started off okay, and then dipped heavily, but now look at like 12 months later, and like Man United's one of the most informed teams in the league.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but look, for Arsenal, hopefully their recovery is good for the top 6, obviously for English football. But look, another team that lost over the weekend was their rivals, Tottenham. It's just a matter of everyone's talking about the result, but I think everyone's more leaning towards what actually happened in the game, which was the VAR against Lucas and his arm and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, poor Sheffield seems to be always caught up in these VAR dramas.
First they had the goal issue, and then now they have the Lucas issue. Look, we've all seen the replay. I think majority of football agrees with this. I don't think this is even a grey area. I think it was just a very bad call, to be honest, by VAR. I get that he's falling down. I get that the clearance hits him. I wouldn't even say his arm. It's more shoulder
Back.
leaning towards his arm a little bit. So what do you guys reckon about this?
Like, do you think it's a VAR issue, or it's a guy who's controlling the VAR?
I think
It's the guy that's
Yeah.
running the VAR.
Because like you watch the replay and the guy kicks it into his like back, I don't know, like midriff, like in his back area, and you can, like, any normal person will say, yep, no worries. But I think they're so stressed with going by the law, and if he touches it, like they'll get their magnifying glass out and check, did it brush a little bit of his hand? Okay, handball.
It's definitely, in my opinion, the guy that's sitting in the box, because again, there's been so many calls throughout the year that's been dependent on who's sitting up there, and everyone has a different view. I think sport in general it has that issue. So yeah, I definitely agree with that, and yeah, like they need to retweak it, but I don't think the Premier League's interested in that at the moment.
But that's the thing. The problem is with the VAR is, if you look back at the World Cup, the referee, on-field referee, say for example World Cup final, that's the best referee we have in the world, right? He's the one that's making the final decision. So he goes to the monitor and checks it. You had a situation where the Australian referee, I forget his name, was never refereed in the Premier League. He was refereeing in the Championship and League One, and he was in VAR making decisions on Premier League games. I don't understand how that, if he's not qualified yet to referee a Premier League game, or you don't have the confidence in him to referee a Premier League game in front of fans, Why is he sitting behind a screen making decisions?
But I think that's where the issue is. It's not necessarily experience. It's just that everyone has a different view on every single scenario.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can have the best referee who's not going to agree with the second best referee, if that makes sense.
But that's not the problem. The problem is they're making key decisions, key wrong decisions. So, for example, the one with Lucas Moura, anyone that watches that, you can tell it didn't hit his arm.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not about a matter of opinion. It's a matter of what am I looking at? Is this the right call? Same thing with the Aston Villa game. Thankfully, they didn't call it. But the goalkeeper was holding the ball behind the line, behind the post.
Yeah.
You know, like anyone that sees that should say, yeah, look, you've made a mistake here that we know it hasn't gone off. But clearly the ball's crossed the line. And these people don't even make those decisions.
Yeah,
They just get
it's not a matter of opinion. It's a matter of common sense.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Like you watch like the Aston Villa Sheffield one. They see the ball hasn't crossed the line. Even if the referee's watch didn't go off, the guy upstairs in VAR should be in his ear. Like I know your thing didn't go off, but that ball did cross the line.
Yeah, we spoke about that a couple of weeks ago. I think it was just, okay, we rely on this technology. It's always right. So VAR didn't even bother having a look at it.
Yeah, look, we've always discussed here on Offside Tour that the VAR needs to be retweaked. We even had a segment saying that should they more opt towards what the A-League has, where the actual referee on the field goes and does the monitoring himself and makes a decision himself. But look, with all this coronavirus and the delays that they have, I think that's fall down to the bottom of the list, unfortunately. Look, that's just summarising most of the teams for the EPL summary. Let's move on to the EPL predictions for the following week, so the upcoming week, I should say. Just quickly going through some of the smaller games while we hit the majors, I should say. Norwich and Brighton, more towards the bottom of the field sort of game here. I think I'm leaning towards a draw. I don't even expect Brighton to beat Norwich from this in this game, to be honest. I know Norwich is bottom of the table. Brighton exactly aren't playing the greatest of football as well. So what about you guys? What do you reckon?
I'm hoping for a Norwich win, just to drag Brighton back into it, but I reckon it's going to be 0-0 or 1-0 to Brighton, probably most likely.
Yeah, I'm going for a draw as well.
I'm going to go with a Brighton win here.
Brighton win. All right. Leicester City, Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, the form they're in is not the greatest at the moment. I think this will probably be Leicester's first victory since the proper startup in the Premier League. I'm leaning towards that only because of just Crystal Palace and just the way that they're playing. They're not. I feel like they're missing that spark or that resurgence that usually the crowd or just the players that they give. Just nothing working for them, unfortunately, at the moment. So, yeah.
I just think that with that game in particular, the way Leicester are playing, I could see it ending in a draw. Both teams are not really pushing it. They're not really playing to the best of their ability. I think it's just going to be a drab draw.
I'm hoping for Leicester win because I want them to get that top 4 spot and I want them to see them playing Champions League football next week. But their form hasn't been that great recently, but still I'm hoping for them to win.
I'm going to agree with both of you guys, actually. Leicester hasn't been playing well even before the break, but I do want to see them win. I think they will. I'm going to agree with you, Fats, as well. I think Crystal Palace is just in really bad form, so it'll be 3 points for Leicester.
Probably an easy one from our perspective. I think one of the easy games for Man U at the moment versus Bournemouth at Old Trafford. Not much to say on this one. I'm going Man U.
Yeah, same Man U. Bournemouth are nowhere, to be honest with you. Man U, most informed team. Easy win for Man U.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Bournemouth might be going down this season, so there's not much. Like, they have to start winning if they're going to avoid that, but I don't think it's going to happen this week.
Yeah, I'm going to easy win for Man U. Not much to comment on that one.
One of the games that, again, we're talking about the Arsenal resurgence, we'll definitely find out this week if they're going to be able to pull a form together or not. Wolves versus Arsenal at Wolves. I've gone with a Wolves victory only because of what they're playing for, considering what happened to Chelsea against West Ham. The gap between Chelsea and Wolves, I believe, is 2 points. Definitely a lot riding on for Wolves' victory here, so I've picked Wolves for this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think Wolves are actually playing for something. And with Arsenal, I know you said resurgence, but there wasn't really much to talk about from the Norwich game. I think that will be shown this weekend. Wolves, easy win.
Yeah, and I think these kind of games really suit Adama Traore with teams that are going to play a bit of football, so a lot of space for him to get in behind. So Wolves win for me.
Yeah, Wolves win. Look, they haven't lost a game since the restart, so they're in great form. Arsenal, have been the up and down. They had the up last week. I'm going to say that this week's they're down. I'm going to go with a Wolves win.
Moving on to my boys here, Chelsea against Watford. Now, Chelsea, I'm leaning. I've got to pick Chelsea, unfortunately, regardless of if they're losing or winning previous games. But Watford have been a team that sort of pisses us off at Stamford Bridge, unfortunately.
And Liverpool.
Look, I've gone Chelsea, but I wouldn't be surprised if a draw, considering if we start bringing that form that we had against West Ham, unfortunately.
I really need you guys to do us a favour this time around. I think you guys will have too much for Watford. I think Chelsea's going to have too much quality. Watford really haven't showed anything since they've come back. And I'm just hoping they keep on losing.
Watford's a strange one. They come out and they beat us before the break, and then ever since then they haven't picked up hardly any points. With the Chelsea, it's going to be interesting because the race for the top four is getting really tight towards the end. So if you guys drop points against Watford, then Wolves, United, even Sheffield are going to be chomping on your heels. So
100%.
For me, I think it's Chelsea going to win.
Yeah, I see Chelsea win. I don't think Lampard's going to let a repeat performance happen. So I think a comfortable win.
Yeah, he has ripped into some of the players, unfortunately, considering the performances that we put through Leicester's first half and the whole West Ham game, to be honest. Moving on to Sheffield's game, actually, away against Burnley. I think Sheffield, again, with what Ali said, with the race for top four, they have a lot more to play for than what Burnley do. I can see them coming off their Tottenham victory and maybe implementing the form into this game. So I've gone a Sheffield victory on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to say Sheffield as well. With Burnley, they've got nothing to play for. Sheffield has sort of got a bit of confidence coming from that Tottenham game. And I think they've seen the light again for the top four spot or the top five spot. So I think they're going to go for it and they're going to get the win.
I reckon it's going to be a draw. Burnley are just like a bitch of a team to come up against. They're so hard to break down, and I reckon we'll finish in a draw.
I'm going to go Sheffield win. They in a week where Wolves are playing Arsenal and they want to get into that top 6 position. I think there's a lot of motivation here for Sheffield to come out and win this game.
All right, boys. Newcastle, West Ham. Newcastle coming off a massive victory early on against Bournemouth. I know Bournemouth aren't playing that well, but Newcastle with a dominant performance in that one against West Ham. Now, West Ham obviously coming off the win against Chelsea. I've gone Newcastle in this one, only because I believe West Ham were just riding on that derby and just what that Chelsea game meant to them. I think Newcastle at home might just be able to scrape 3 points out of this one.
I'm really hoping for a Newcastle win. It's pretty sad that I need other teams to pull for us. But to be honest with you, I think Newcastle do have a bit of quality in the final third with Sam Maxima. I think that's how you pronounce it. I would just hope that West Ham just don't perform again and it's just a one-off against Chelsea.
Yeah, I think West Ham are going to come out firing after they picked up 3 points against Chelsea. But for me, Newcastle might just have a bit too much for them.
Yeah, I'm with Newcastle as well. Besides that Man City loss, Newcastle have been in pretty good form, so I think they'll take out West Ham here.
The next game involves 3 of our podcasters. Liverpool versus Aston Villa. Now, Liverpool obviously crowned champions. What team they bring out, I'm not too sure. If the youngsters or the full squad to bounce back from that devastating City loss, I should say. Aston Villa a lot more to play for. Look, unfortunately for you, Ahmad, I'm going Liverpool, and I've gone them easy, to be honest, in this one. I know you guys a lot more to play for, and hopefully an upset can come out, but yeah, Liverpool for me.
My heart says Villa, but everything says Liverpool. To be honest with you, the worst thing that could have happened, and I know I said it earlier, is Liverpool getting pumped because Klopp is not going to let them perform badly again. Yeah. And they're going to want to prove why they're champions, and unfortunately it's going to be against us. So I'm hoping for a Villa win, but doubt it.
Yeah, I think should be an easy 3 points for us. But at the end of the day, even if Aston Villa do somehow pick up 3 points, I'm not going to be too bad because my mate here might help him avoid relegation, but we should have too much for him.
Look, I think there's been a no alcohol policy for Liverpool this week. Depends if these guys have followed it and if they're going to rock up as drunk or hungover as the Man City game, but it should be a comfortable win for Liverpool. I'm saying 3 or 4-0 here.
Maybe I should send them some beers then.
That's it.
The next game involves the team that beat Liverpool, Man City, away at Southampton. I've got Man City. I don't think many people will predict it. Again, Man City pretty much have nothing to play for. They've almost secured, I think, pretty much going to secure Champions League football.
if they play. Oh, sorry, interrupted you, but like
No, it's okay. Pending on results. But yeah, I've got Man City, man.
Yeah, Danny Ings is on fire, to be honest with you. I think I can see him causing trouble, but Man City is just going to have too much quality across the board.
I think Pep Guardiola is going to take out his frustrations on finishing second on the remaining 6 games. So like, good luck to the 6 teams left playing Man City. They're gonna cop a few goals.
Oh yeah, look, De Bruyne. You've got Sterling in amazing form. It's gonna be a write off here.
And the last game of match day 33, I should say, Tottenham versus Everton. 2 teams who aren't playing the greatest of football, unfortunately, since the restart. But a Mourinho squad against Everton is not playing good. I won't say Tottenham's going to blow them out of the water, but I'm expecting maybe a 1-0, 2-1, something towards Tottenham. I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if this actually ends in a draw.
Yeah, I was just about to say draw, but I wouldn't be surprised if Everton snakes something from this game. I think Carlo Ancelotti is actually building something at Everton. I know it's only in the beginning, but he's an amazing manager. And I think, Tottenham, I don't know what's going on with Jose, so I think Tottenham are in trouble there. So I reckon a draw, maybe an Everton 1-0.
Yeah, Everton actually haven't been too bad since the break. They kept us to a draw. They beat Leicester City. Their defense has picked up like considerable amount since Ancelotti joined. So I'm going Everton for the win.
Ali took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, I'm gonna go an Everton win here, especially after how shocking Tottenham were last week.
All right, boys, that summarizes match day 33. Now, before we move on to the football news for the week and our segment, the Agree or Disagree, the football edition, there's some words coming out of Spain, unfortunately, at the moment for Barcelona fans, which is, again, we've heard this before, but Messi reportedly wanting to leave or not to renew his contract to leave. Just wanted to get your views on this, about... What do you guys reckon? Do you reckon this is just a ploy to take out the current manager at the moment, or is Messi just really frustrated with how the club is, the club's path or the club's future about this?
Yeah, I personally think it's just a power play. You know, Messi has always got what he wanted at Barcelona, since pretty much Pep Guardiola was there. I think it's just his way of getting what he wants. He doesn't like the manager, doesn't respect the manager. And he's just trying to use anything in his power to get what he wants. That's just my opinion. I think he'll end his career at Barcelona, but then he's just trying to get the way he wants to go.
Oh yeah, look, I personally I agree with that from a sense of Messi trying to implement his position in the club pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm more than a player pretty much, and I run the show. And to be honest, the manager that they have currently isn't someone that's going to go, okay, you know, it's not a Pep Guardiola, it's not a Mourinho or something like the way to take and say, you know what, the club is bigger than the player, but unfortunately this is Messi we're talking about here.
How long do you guys see Messi staying at Barcelona until like out? Because when's he? It's going to be like 34 by the time his contract finishes up.
I think
next season.
He's 33 now, so I think he finishes 34 or 35. What is it? 2022? I think he's signed up until 2021, whatever it is currently, or when it finishes. Yeah. I don't know.
Could it be that he's like, these are his last days at Barcelona and he wants to like
Go on a free.
Yeah, not go on a free, but just like new challenge, but not like maybe go to America, link up with David Beckham, maybe go to back to Argentina, his home country, finish off his career there.
I can't see him going back to Argentina only because the amount of pull he still has, the way he's playing football is not on a decline or anything like that. America, I definitely can see. I did say off air, Beckham's Inter FC squad, or Inter, whatever he wants to call it now, linking up with Ronaldo maybe in the future. It's just the smart marketing moves.
We can all dream as football lovers to see that too.
It's generally the smartest move that if Beckham does do that, it's genius work.
100%.
Regarding Messi at Barcelona, I think if they get a proper manager in, when I mean by proper, it's who he wants, to be honest, at the end of the day. I can see him signing on for another 2-3 years, to be honest.
Well, I was just about to say, with Messi, even though he's 33, going on 34, even though I'm a Ronaldo fan, he's still in top form. Like I can see him still performing in the Champions League for at least another couple of seasons
Yeah.
before his decline. That's just my opinion on Messi.
I think the Premier League should take one for the team and send Guardiola back to Barcelona, so Messi can see out another 2-3 years there for Barca,
So
and
Liverpool.
so Liverpool can dominate for the next couple of years.
Not gonna disagree with that. Look, I'm gonna agree with you guys. If Messi does leave, in my opinion, it's gonna be when he's like 37, 38, or what if 36, 37, a lot later in his career. He hasn't stepped off the pedal yet. He's still doing wonders. Yeah, it is a power play, I think, to get in who he wants. Look, this is not a Messi or Ronaldo debate, and I'm not taking any respect away from Messi, but Messi seems like the player who wants to play with great players around him, whereas Ronaldo, you can put him into like an under-18s park thing and he'll still work his magic there, sort of thing. So he's obviously trying to push to get a team that he's happy to play with so that he can perform to the best of his abilities, in my opinion.
Look, for me, Messi's still going to perform properly for, I reckon, easy 3-4 years. Champions League, La Liga, whatever you want it to be. Whether he's going to abandon ship when Barcelona start to go down, I don't think so, considering what the club's actually done for him since the beginning. All this issues with the club, I'm leaning towards what Ahmad said. It's just a power play, just to get what he wants, bring the team back to glory. Real Madrid look like they're going to be walking to the title at the moment. They're 4 points clear, I think, above Barcelona.
Correct, yeah.
And I think they're just going to, if Real Madrid get to the title, he's just going to want to revamp this club the way he sees fit. But yeah, that's just my view. Before we get into the segment, I'll start my football news for the week. Under 2 to 3 minutes. So M's getting his stopwatch out because he's gonna annoy me if it's not. All right, not a big one this week, so I'm maybe even be under 2 minutes. Yeah. All right, boys. So here's your football news for the week in under 2 to 3 minutes. So Thiago Alcantara, hopefully I said that right, reportedly wants to leave Bayern Munich and join Liverpool. I don't see him fitting into the Liverpool squad and the Klopp mentality, but again, that's just my view. You got Liverpool supporters here as well that can give their opinions on that one.
No, I think he fits into the squad. I just don't think financially it's a kind of transfer that Liverpool
smart move.
will make, because Klopp usually signs younger than 25 players. Cantara is like 29. He's going to be demanding like a couple $100,000 per week, which will just like throw out our wage structure. So I'd love to have him like in the squad, but I just don't see it happening.
There's from the Liverpool supporter himself. Moving on to Wigan Athletic has been entered into administration due to the coronavirus and the financial issues that has happened to the club. Sad to see a team that was once in the Premier League and even fighting Man City in the FA Cup, I believe that they annoyed there. Xavi, now again hitting the Messi topic here. Xavi reportedly agrees to overtake as Barcelona manager at the end of the season. I can see Messi trying to force that to happen. I think it was early on in our podcast, I said Xavi probably was leaning towards this and he didn't want to take it mid-season and wait for the season to run out. Again, Liverpool hitting the Messi topic. So Messi reportedly wants to leave Barcelona with the ongoing issues within the club. Leroy Sané has signed a 5-year deal with Bayern Munich.
What a signing.
And the deal is worth up to £54.8 million there. In my opinion, a massive loss to Man City, but it gives Man City enough wages and enough money to buy a £200 million player like Lionel Messi. Chelsea has restarted talks with Willian after over a new deal. I don't blame them considering the way he's just playing at the moment. I think we need a player like Willian. And lastly, Aubameyang reportedly wants a 3-year, £250,000 a week deal to stay at the club. Sell Ozil, keep Oba. That's my view on it. And that's your football news for the week. Still under M's. There you go.
2 minutes and 8 seconds.
All right, boys. Our segment, agree to disagree. Let's get straight into it. All right, boys. The segment, agree or disagree, the football edition. We'll start off with the first question. Obviously, you boys know there's 4 options. Strongly agree, strongly disagree, agree, disagree. Yeah, you know the shit. All football related. So here we go. So number 1, football players are overpaid. All right, boys, we'll start off with the answers here. So we got a disagree from Ahmad, an agree from Ali. adjusting it there, and we got a disagree from M. So 2 disagrees and an agree. Ali, we'll start off with you. Agree, football players are overpaid.
Yeah, I think the amount some of these football players get paid is a bit too much. Some of them are like £200,000-300,000 a week. Like you compare that to like other professions, and I think that's just way too much.
Man, that disagrees. You're happy to give an input
Yeah,
whenever you guys want.
I'm happy to jump in on that one. I think at the end of the day, footballers get paid what they deserve. If someone's willing to pay £200,000-300,000 for a football player, then why shouldn't they get it? They, at the end of the day, their privacy is taken away from them. They become role models when they don't want to be. At the end of the day, if they're willing to pay it, then go for it. That's my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, but look what's happening to some of these clubs like Wigan and Bolton who are going into administration. That's because they can't keep up with financial fair play. They pay above their means, so they're paying players like tens of thousands of dollars a week, but not able to sustain it.
But if the football club wants to pay it, they want to chase that dream of the championship, or they want to chase that dream of getting promoted or staying in the league, and they want to pay for that ex-player that's going to get 50 grand from another club. That's up to them.
They're not paying it because they can. They're paying it because they have to compete in this football world. Because other big clubs like your Man Cities and your Barcelonas and your Bayern Munichs can go out and spend all this money while other clubs can't compete with them.
Look, we've talked about. I'm going to take the EPL as an example here. EPL is a brand itself, right? So they've got this high standard of teams. So you're sort of buying into play with those top clubs in there. So if you're a Wigan, you're one of these lower clubs who can't afford to buy these players, then you're not really giving the EPL that high class that they want. Ali before said, let's compare it to other professions, but let's compare it to how much money these associations are making, right? So I'm just going to throw it out as an analogy. If the EPL or whoever is making money from it is making $100 billion a year, and you're paying your players who are your what's making your money $5,000 a week, I think on a player's point of view, it's completely unfair. So compared to how much money these associations are making, these players getting paid, I don't think they are overpaid.
I'm not saying they should get paid $5,000 a week. I'm just saying that some of these players who are getting paid hundreds and thousands a week is too much. Like I reckon if all players getting paid between 50 to 100k a week, that okay, fair enough. But 200 to 300, 400 players a week, some of these players are making too much.
But then you look at it, for example, how much money does Ronaldo bring into Juventus? How much money does Messi, from gate revenue to sponsorship to shirt merchandise
to TV rights?
Yeah, but even in the NBA, they have a salary cap. So there's a cap on how much salaries they can pay their players. But these high class teams like Man City can go and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on every single player in their squad.
All right, boys. Question 2: Champions League success is bigger or more respected than domestic league title success? So we'll start off. Ahmad agree, Ali agree, and M agree. So we got 3 agrees here. Again, majority opinion here.
I think it also depends on the league that they're managing in. Like I think in England it might not be the case. The domestic success might be like of more importance because it's so much tighter. But in other leagues like the Italian league and your Dutch league and your German league and your French league, winning the league is not going to be as significant as it is winning the Champions League.
But I also think it depends on the club as well. So, for example, a club that's never won the Champions League, like PSG, and they're winning the league all the time, that they want the Champions League. You know what I mean? But if, for example, if it's Barca and Real Madrid has only won the league once in 9 years. So, and they've won the Champions League 4 times.
All right, let me throw a spinner at you guys. Say Premier League team, say just an example here. Team A wins the Premier League, Team B wins the Champions League. Who would have had, and these are, let's say Liverpool, Man City. Liverpool won the domestic title and Man City goes to win the Champions League.
Vice versa. Last year,
season.
them winning the title hurt me more. Like, I mean, it hurt a lot.
But that's because we had gone 30 years without winning it.
That's true.
And that's what I was about to say. For example, if it was vice versa this year, for Man City, they want to win the Champions League more than anything. Like, Liverpool's won the Champions League 6 times, and you haven't won the Premier League for 30 years. So I think, I said agree, but I think it really does come down to the club and their situation, or the league and their situation.
I haven't given my opinion yet. Look, and it's going to come back to the French league as well. You're on a world stage when you win like a European championship, right? You're playing the best teams in Europe. If you went off domestic success, then you would think that PSG is the best team in the world. But you stick them into Champions League and they struggle against these top European sides. So
just look at Atletico and how they reacted after knocking Liverpool out of the Champions League. It was like a big deal for them.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Liverpool are the reigning champions. But if Man City are one of the most dominant teams in the Premier League over the last number of years, I don't think other teams see them as a bigger threat in European football and world football.
Mm-hmm. I agreed. And sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
Nah, it's all good. Look, I'll just move on to question 3, actually. Manchester United's 1999 to 2000 treble-winning squad is the greatest Premier League team of all time. All right, boys, let's have a look at your results here. Ahmad disagree.
Yep.
Strongly disagree from Ali.
He's shouting
and
it there.
Disagree from Emin. We'll start with Ali on this one. Strongly disagree with Manchester United, the 99 to 2000, the treble-winning squad being the greatest Premier League team of all time.
I think as it stands right now, 2 years ago's Centurions Man City team is the greatest Premier League team because at the end of the day, they got the most points any team's ever gotten in a Premier League season. So for me, it's them right now, but Liverpool have a chance in the next 6 games to overtake that.
I agree with that. I think even though it was a great achievement to win the treble, I think that there has been other squads, and I think Liverpool's squad currently, if they continue to do what they do and build on what they did this year and last year, they'll go ahead of Manchester United squad.
Yeah, look, you can't take those points away as well. It's different time, so yeah, I disagree.
Do you guys think that with the Champions League victory that they had, and considering what they won and how they won it, could push them definitely up to top spot? Or do you reckon that it was more of a fluke, or they just managed to just get to that just the way that Sir Alex Ferguson managed to put that team together?
I think the reason why they're even in the conversation is because they won the Champions League.
Yeah.
And they won it in the last minute, and I'm not saying it's a fluke because Manchester United and Sir Alex always find a way to win. But I just think that's the only reason why they're in the conversation in the first place. I don't think that squad or what they did in the Premier League in particular was that great.
Okay.
They finished the season on 79 points. Look at that. Compare that to what City and Liverpool have done in the last couple of years. It's like
That's what I'm saying. It's a different time.
Yeah.
There's a different caliber of teams you're versing.
Well, interesting points there, boys. We'll move on to question 4 here. Thierry Henry is the greatest striker in English Premier League history. All right, boys. We've got the results in. What do we have? Disagree from Ahmad, agree from Ali, and disagree from M. So 2 disagrees and an agree. Ali, you are alone again. Let's start off with you.
For me, Henry is the greatest striker to play in the Premier League. You just have to look at what his rivals say about him. Like, I think no defender ever wanted to come up against him. I know people are probably going to argue maybe Aguero, Shearer, Rooney, but Thierry had the whole package, and for me, he's the greatest.
M.
I don't think he's the greatest. He there's no doubt that he was great, but as Ali said, there's a lot of great players out there, and I don't think that you can straight up say that he's the greatest.
Ahmad.
I think it's Alan Shearer. For longevity, one thing, and he scored 283 goals. And you got to look at the teams that he played for. He played for Southampton, Blackburn, and Newcastle. Yeah, at the end of the day, if you're looking at purely in their prime, a one-off game, I'd say Henry. But over the Premier League history, has to be Alan Shearer.
You're saying Blackburn were Blackburn of
Now.
Today.
today, but back then Blackburn were one of the bigger teams in the league.
Yeah, but they weren't as big as Arsenal were when they were fighting for the title.
And who made that Arsenal squad the Arsenal squad they were? It was it was players like Henry.
Yeah, but you look at who Henry had next to him. He had Bergkamp, he had Patrick Vieira. You look at Blackburn, they had Tim Sherwood.
Tim Sherwood was their captain.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, they had Tim Sherwood compared to Patrick Vieira and Bergkamp and all these players.
Nah, for me, Henry is a freak.
All right, boys, we'll move on to question 5 here. VAR should be removed from football.
In the current state,
In the current state it is. All right, boys, let's have a look at it again. Ahmad agree.
Yep.
Ali disagree, and M disagree here. Ahmad, you're alone on this one.
yeah, I think
Agree.
I think in the current format that's in, it needs to be scrapped unless they make some tweaks to go back like they did at the World Cup, for example, where the referee, on-field referee, makes a decision by looking at the camera himself. But if it's going to stay the way it is, I reckon scrap it. There's no point. It was brought in to get rid of the howlers. How many howlers have we seen?
Well,
Just from the restart alone, Villa and Sheffield against Sheffield, and the one last night.
Sheffield again.
Yeah, Sheffield and Tottenham.
but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to scrap it. You just got to tweak it. Like, you just look at Chelsea in the Man City game the other week and the handball by Fernandinho. No one picked that up except for Abraham. And then he goes upstairs and it's the most blatant handball you ever see. So that's why VAR is in there for howlers like that, which if it wasn't for that, Liverpool might not still be champions right now.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Ali. Look, it makes mistakes, but I think it's the people around VAR that needs to be, I don't know, up-trained or made more consistent, because it does pick up on things. We stick on those obvious things like the Sheffield game and stuff like that because it sticks out so much in the game. But if we get, as we've talked about earlier tonight, more professional referees maybe that are sitting in the VAR box, maybe... I don't know, using it when we need to, like in that Sheffield goal. I don't see any reason why we need to get rid of it.
I'll give my little opinion on that. I think it should remain, but it definitely needs a tweak. I've always lent towards an A-League type of VAR where the referee makes the decision himself rather than someone being in his ear or anything like that. I think the pride aspect of I need to check it is something referees need to establish into their role at the moment. Unfortunately, with VAR, with technology, the refs are just leaning towards someone else will deal with it.
Because they don't want to go check it and go, oh shit, I was wrong.
Correct.
I have to change my decision.
That's right. So in the example, I think the best example was Australia-France. When that penalty for Griezmann happened, the ref said, you know what? He said play on, but someone went in his ear. But at that moment, even the ref, you can see in his stature where he didn't know what to do, and he just sort of went, okay, I'm just going to go lean towards someone in my ear. And he made the decision by going and having a look by himself.
But that's what I'm saying. You said in the current form, if it stays the way it is, scrap it. But if it's going to change to the referee making the decision like they did in the World Cup, I'm all for it.
Even from a scrap point of view, we've also got to look at it like this. How many negatives are there to the positives? Do you know what I mean? How many times where we actually looked at something and said, you know what, unfortunately, it is right. Do you know what I mean? Where I understand the heel aspect of it and, my pinky's off or, my hair accidentally fell out in this offside.
But I think if the referees knew that they had to make the decision themselves and not let play on and rely on someone else making the decision, I feel like we'll have less of these howlers than we are having right now.
Interesting points there. All right, boys, moving on to question 6. Now, this one I think is going to probably take a while. Cristiano Ronaldo's national trophies makes him a more successful player than Lionel Messi.
Do you have more space on the board?
All right, boys, let's have a look now. I'm expecting controversy. Keep in mind that we can't have this podcast going for 4 hours. So, Ahmad, agree.
Definitely.
And Ali, strongly disagree. And Emin, strongly agree. So we got 3 different answers here. You're all minorities. But we'll start off with the disagree here. Ali.
So which international trophies are we talking about? Are we talking about the one in the Euros where they finished 3rd in the group and then Ronaldo got injured in the final and Portugal won the game without him, and that's why we're saying that he's better than Messi?
Who got him to the final?
Who got him to 3rd place in the group stage?
But who got him to the final? That's the format.
The format. So
That's
the format. So you're telling me? Wait. So you're telling me, World Cup final, Argentina versus Germany.
Yep.
Higuain or Palacio finished a 1-1 against Neuer. Argentina win. Therefore, Messi is better than Ronaldo.
Okay, so who scored more goals in the World Cup?
No. But the question was about trophies won and therefore being better.
Okay, so if you're going to look at it like that, for example, they finished 3rd in the group and they shouldn't get it. Okay, well, how about when they made the final and Greece out of nowhere won it? No, they didn't deserve to win it. Do you give them the trophy then? He would have had one then.
But that's what I'm saying.
What's the difference?
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying you don't judge a player on who's better based on a team trophy.
Well, the reason why I said agree is because I think it's one of the reasons. I think there's more factors into it than just the European trophy. But I think the fact that Messi, who plays in an easier competition, the Copa America, and still hasn't won a South American title, and Ronaldo has, I think that's one of the reasons. And that's the reason why I didn't say strongly agree. I said agree.
Yeah. There's some controversy. I said strongly agree. Not because it's the trophy itself, but it comes back to what I said earlier. Ronaldo in that Portuguese team isn't playing with like a Barcelona squad out there, right? Nor is Messi. But Ronaldo, even when he was injured, stepped up as a coach to try and get his team
100%.
there. He steps up when it, like, Messi disappears in his national team.
So Messi made Higuain miss that chance in the 1-1.
So what about
But
Messi?
he's got Higuain. Look at the strikers he's playing.
He
with.
missed it.
And he's-
Ronaldo had Edu. No one's even heard of him before.
That's what I mean. Like, Ronaldo, he steps up when he doesn't have the class around him. And this is why he's having a big sook at Barcelona right now with the management and stuff like that. I personally believe that he's not happy with the players he's playing with. So when you compare how well they play in their national teams, man, Ronaldo, you can, like I said, you can put him into any competition on any team and he steps up. He stepped up when he was at Man United. He stepped up when he was at Real Madrid. He stepped up when he's at Juventus. Whereas Messi's great. I'm not taking anything away from him, man. He's best player in the world, you know. But he's only ever played at Barcelona, and his success is only at Barcelona.
And that's the thing. Ali was talking about, okay, well, what about Higuain missing the chances in the World Cup? What did Messi do in the Copa America? He missed penalties in the Copa America final.
Didn't Messi carry Argentina to the World Cup final?
I don't think he carried them.
He didn't carry him.
No,
But
I don't think he
Ronaldo carried Portugal to the Euros, but Messi didn't carry Argentina, banging in free kicks against Iran last minute, but he didn't carry him.
Okay, so he scores a free kick against Iran. Who else did they play in the World Cup? Who else did he score against in the World Cup?
What did Ronaldo do in the Euros?
Ronaldo carried them, bro.
But you
How many goals?
Tell me.
I don't know.
They finished third in the group stage, and then they play. Who they play in the first round of knockouts? Well, you have Italy playing England when they both finished like first and second. Portugal get the easiest run to the final. Ronaldo gets injured.
But that's not his fault. But is that something that he can control? All he can do is play the teams that get in front of him, and he carried them. And like Emin said, when he did come off injured, he was the first one. He was more than the coach there, pushing the team forward.
I'm sure he was whispering in Edda's ear, going, "Finish that goal."
Unfortunately, boys, I have to wrap this up. I know it is controversial. I think this is the
That
only
was fun.
question that I can leave for strongly agree, disagree, and you guys will probably do the same amount as the 10 questions. Look, I won't give an opinion on this because I'm pretty sure it'll last for 3 hours. Moving on to question 7 here, boys. Look, again, it could be another controversial one here. Barcelona's 2014 and 2015 team is the greatest of all time. Now, this is the team that had Neymar, Suarez, and Messi up front and won the treble. All right, boys. Looking at all your screens here, all disagree. Whoever wants to start their input, go for gold here.
I think it's hard to label one team the greatest of all time because there's been so many different great teams over. Football's been around for over 100 years, and you can't narrow it down to the one team. Like that front three was one of the best you've ever seen, MSN. But I think overall, as a team-wise, I don't think they're the best.
I simply agree with Ali. At the end of the day, I think what they did was amazing. They had amazing players, but at the end of the day, yeah, you look at some of the teams of the past, like even you mentioned Manchester United. You look at AC Milan. You look at the Liverpool squads back in the late 80s. You can't really just say one team. I don't think there will ever be that one team that was just the greatest of all time.
Yeah, well said. And taking nothing away from La Liga, winning the La Liga is like a two-team race, and it has been for a very, very long time. Yeah. So to win a treble when you're in La Liga, I don't think it qualifies you to be named the best team of all time.
Interesting point, boys. Let's move on to number 8 here. Mourinho has a better CV than Guardiola. results are in, boys. We have an agree from Ahmad, a strongly disagree from Ali, and an agree from M. Ali, starting off with you.
Are we like just am I up against like Madrid fanboys here? Or, I don't know. Like, I'm sorry. Like, what's Guardiola's worst ever finish in a league?
I think it's fourth
Yeah.
for Man City.
Compare that to Mourinho, who like finished mid-table a couple times.
What's Guardiola's lowest freaking transfer budget?
Still, like if you give them both a team, go this is your team. I think Guardiola will leave that team in a better place than when he leaves than Mourinho does.
I think Guardiola needs better players. At the end of the day, you look at what he did with Porto. You look at what he did with Inter. He had Bayern Munich and he couldn't do anything in the Champions League. He's got Man City and they still haven't done anything in the Champions League. The only team that he had was Barcelona, that he's won in the Champions League, and that Barcelona squad, as we were just talking about it.
You could have put me there.
Yeah, I always used to say this. Okay, you put a duck in a suit and they would have done the same job. They still would have won the La Liga and would have won the Champions League. That team was just unbelievable.
And how did Mourinho leave those clubs?
Well, with Man United, he was booted out by the players pretty much. But was he doing a bad job there? No.
Yes.
You think so?
Mm.
They haven't reached that position since he's left.
Because what he does to the team. When Van Gaal was there and when Gaal left, they weren't like struggling to finish in top four. He left Chelsea. They were fighting. They were in relegation. There was like a remember on Facebook. There was like a Chelsea relegation party like scheduled, and then you have
The second time it took over, yeah.
yeah this Chelsea. You had what's Inter done after it? Like when he leaves, he comes to a club. He spends the first year rebuilding. Then in the second year, he does well in the and then after that, he just starts destroying the club from within. So if you want to judge him on the second year, him doing well, other than the whole performance and how he leaves the club. For me, Guardiola left Bayern Munich, they've still dominated after he left. Guardiola left Barcelona, they still dominated.
But those teams, my sister could leave and they'd still be dominating.
Because he built them that way.
No, but
he
then
built these teams to dominate.
They were like that before he came too.
Man City weren't this dominant before.
And Bayern Munich was. And the thing is, these clubs,
Well,
Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and Man City, or pretty much Bayern Munich and Man City, are rolled with money compared to the other teams in that league. Like Bayern Munich, anyone could coach Bayern Munich to win the league.
Jurgen Klopp won the title 2 years in a row with Borussia Dortmund before Guardiola arrived at Bayern Munich. Just stating that out there.
Okay.
With his scenario at Inter, I think that was his most successful. I think Jose Mourinho, because it was the one team that he went to, and again, I'm not giving it an answer, but I'm just comparing the Inter scenario here. The Inter scenario was the only time that he went to Inter and said, "I'm going to win the Champions League," and he left. There was no when he came to Chelsea. I think it was the beginning of the fourth year of his first tenure. We lost to Rosenborg in the Champions League.
Yeah, everything
3-0, dominated, absolutely dominated against us, and then he got sacked. In the second season, it was in the second time he came to Chelsea, I think we were 16th or something like that at one stage. It also falls down half and half. Is it really destroying the club like you said, Ali, or is it just the whole player revolt situation that's happening?
But that's what I think, that Guardiola is smarter than Pep. Guardiola is smarter than Mourinho. Because Guardiola stays 3 years, 4 years, and leaves before everything turns to shit. Before the players get sick of him, before the players get burnt out,
Mate.
he just moves on.
Sir Alex Ferguson was at Man United for 20 years. They never got sick of him.
Yeah, but so Alex
Jurgen Klopp spent 7 years at Dortmund. They didn't get sick of him. So if you're getting players getting sick of you after 3 years, then there's something wrong with your.
So why hasn't Guardiola stayed at one club and built a legacy?
Maybe he wants a different challenge. He's not like it's not like the owners are sacking him. He's leaving on his own accord.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
If he wants a challenge, you should go to West Ham.
come to Villa.
Or go to Villa.
Look, I love Mourinho for what he's done for Chelsea. I won't give a biased opinion here. I do agree that both of these gentlemen, I should say, is probably up there in the top 5, top 6 best managers, or probably top 10 best managers of all time.
Behind Klopp. No bias. No bias.
No bias.
He's probably got one of the best man management skills possible, but from a trophy perspective, from a success perspective, these two are up there as probably the greatest. You mentioned Sir Alex Ferguson. I think Sir Alex is the exception in this scenario because he never allowed what Pep and Mourinho allow, which was example was who was it? Beckham and his haircut.
Yeah.
Made him shave it before the game.
Yeah.
You name me a manager that's going to do that now. You'll be on social media. There'll be a player revolt. You'll be sacked in 2 seconds after
But
that.
I think the difference is the culture that's around football. Because back then the manager could run a tight ship like that.
Yeah.
These days
Everyone's got rights.
And that's
Yeah.
that's not just football. That's just life in general.
Yeah, that's society, and you get players who are 16, 17 in the squad that are earning more than any of us can dream
They're
of.
bigger than the club.
And they think they're bigger than the club, and they who's going to yell at them?
No, 100% agree. Let's move on, boys, to question 9. De Bruyne is the 3rd best player in the world.
Why the third?
Because we know who the best two are.
All right, boys, let's have a look. Ahmed strongly agree, and 2 agrees from Ali and Ems. I'll start with you, Ahmed, on this one.
I just can't think of a better player in form right now than him. Those passes that he does from the wing, where it's a low cross / pass that's on the 6-yard line for Jesus or Aguero to tap in. There's no one in the Premier League and in the world that's better than him. I know people might think Mbappe, but I don't think he's...
Or Neymar.
Not Neymar. I wouldn't put Neymar up there. But I think Mbappe still got a way to go to be that level. I think De Bruyne can walk into any team in the world right now.
Yeah, this is one of the questions where I'd probably choose a sitting on the fence answer. For me, Mbappe and Kevin De Bruyne are like up there with Ronaldo, like not with Ronaldo,
Not on
but
that level, but up there.
after him. I think by the time Messi and Ronaldo depart us, Mbappe will be the best in the world. But I think right now, over like career-wise, Kevin De Bruyne is up there, ahead of him.
Yeah, it wasn't easy for me to answer this one too, but I've gone with agree. Partly because of what Ahmed said. Man, he drops a ball with like pinpoint accuracy exactly where he wants it. But not only that, he runs a midfield. Like the midfield is completely controlled by De Bruyne. The players look to him to make everything. You look at Man City, all the plays come through him. Where I don't disagree with Mbappe being a great player, I see him more of creating for himself, whereas De Bruyne is a lot more selfless and he works for the team.
Well, Mbappe definitely has one thing going for him, which is the World Cup. He's already won that at a young age, so he's got that national trophy voodoo on him already lifted, so anything is all uphill for him at the moment. Last question, boys. The Liverpool versus Manchester United is the biggest derby in England. All right, boys, let's have a look at the answers. Ahmed, you've gone agree. Ali, strongly agree. And M, agree. So all agree, but we've got a strongly agree now from the Liverpool man himself.
I don't think any derby comes close to it in England. I think Tottenham and Arsenal like to think that theirs is the best. Maybe even Man City, United, or Liverpool, Everton. But for me, ever since I was a kid, it was the Liverpool United game that won. That's the 2 games every year I wanted to win without like I'd pick them 2 over any other game.
Ahmed.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think with Man United and Liverpool, I think just the rivalry for the trophies, the number of trophies, for the Champions League, everything just sort of brings it all in together. Scousers can't stand.
Yeah, it's not just just a football rivalry. It's like a city rivalry, and like Liverpool Scousers and Mancunians just don't like each other.
That's what I was about to say. I think at the end of the day, I think it's just deeper than that. I think it's just a rivalry that sort of doesn't really compare anywhere else in England.
I've got to agree. The only reason I haven't gone strongly agree is because at the moment Man United's not really pulling like they used to. So yeah, agreed.
I'll throw a bit of a spinner in the works for you. Real Madrid Barca or Liverpool Man United? You don't have to write this down, just straight up.
I reckon Real Madrid Barca, the Clasico, is bigger than Man United Liverpool.
Yeah, I think the Clasico, like around the world, is like it stops the whole world and everyone watches that game.
Agreed. Like people who don't even watch football support Real Madrid or Barcelona, so it's a bigger game in my opinion.
I'll probably agree with you guys. Damn, I was trying to get a bit of a spinner in the works there. But look, again, we all saw it when it was Messi and Ronaldo, how the world stopped when that first year and the 5-0 victory that Barcelona had in that game. But that is it for Agree and Disagree, the football edition. So thank you, gents, for participating.
Yeah, and a huge thank you to Ahmad, Fouda and Ali Farhat for joining us today on Offside Talk. Definitely added some colour into the episode and to the podcast. Thank you to Fatih, as always, being my co-host on the show. Guys, as always, if you guys could subscribe to us on YouTube, it helps out a lot. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Any support at the moment for a growing page like ours is very much appreciated. Once again, thank you very much, Ahmad, for joining us.
Anytime.
And thank you very much, Ali.
Thanks for having me.
And until next time, guys, stay offside.
Thank you very much for listening and watching.